So, you decided to join the Army, and maybe you're trying to prepare the best you can for basic training like a lot of my viewers are, and you're wondering, should you actually do some Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu training before basic training? What's going on, guys? So today I want to cover a quick little topic of something that I went through whenever I was joining the military, joining basic training, because I personally actually did do some Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu training. I did some MMA stuff before because I wanted to prepare for it, right? So in this video I want to talk about whether or not maybe that was actually a good idea, should you do that, and really how much is going to benefit you in your military career. So going back to, I think, January of 2015 or so, whenever I really decided that I wanted to join the military, I knew that at basic training in the Army, you're going to have combatives training. And if you guys didn't know that, you're going to have combatives training, which is basically a little bit of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, possibly some Muay Thai stuff, basically some boxing, right? You're gonna get a little bit of that. And for me, I was trying to prepare myself the best I could for basic training so I could excel in the Army and excel at basic training. So what I did was I basically went to, or I did go to an MMA gym. I enrolled in their MMA program. I took some private lessons for a while, and then I ended up fighting stuff. Got actually pretty good, and I miss it. I wish I had time to actually do some fighting now because it's actually a lot of fun in my opinion. But basically, I got fairly good at some Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, some basic stuff. And then whenever I got to basic training, how well did that correlate, right? So whenever you're at basic training, you might have just a couple of days when you're going to get trained on some Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu by the drill sergeants. If you're thinking that the drill sergeants and while you're at basic training are going to teach you just some crazy Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu stuff, and whenever you graduate basic training, you're just going to be an expert in the field, or you're going to be even good at whatever it is that you learned, and that's honestly not the case. If you ever watch any videos on YouTube of people doing combatives and they're having the little tournament thing going on and they just look super legit, like, oh my gosh, they're so good. Those are generally the guys that have already done MMA and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for a long period of time before basic training, right? So because I kind of progressed pretty quickly in my little MMA career, my short, 5 or 6 month MMA career, whenever I got to basic training, I was one of the better guys, but there was, 5, 6, 7 other people, I believe in the company or so that was actually way more experienced in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu than I was. They had been doing it for years and years and years, and I'd only been doing it for 5 or 6 months, right? So when you compare yourself to, just a basic, regular Joe Schmo who has never done any kind of combatives at all, you're going to learn just a little bit of stuff, but it's really not going to be mind-blowing. A lot of people think that whenever you get out of basic training, you're just going to know how to fight and you're going to be like this awesome person, right? That's honestly not the case. So when you're at basic training, you are going to learn the bare minimum basics, right? So if you want to know my opinion, should you learn some Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, do a little training before basic training? Is that a good idea? Personally, if you want to succeed as best as possible, like my mindset was, or maybe if you want or have an interest in actually kind of pursuing that, honestly, I think that you could be even more skilled and more prepared and learn more than you're going to learn at basic training just by a few private lessons, just by maybe a month or 2 months of training, right? If you do that, if you just do a month of training for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu at a gym, you are going to know more and learn more and be better at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and combatives once you get to basic training than the majority of other people. But at the same time, it's really not that big of a deal. Combatives is just basically one event or one little part of basic training. There's not much focus on it. Depending on the basic training cycle that you go to, you might have more or less, training for that. But to be honest, there's really not that much focus on just hand-to-hand combat because, in the military, if you're just a basic soldier, it's going to be a very, very rare instance when you're going to have to go hand-to-hand combat with the enemy. That's more of a special forces kind of thing. That's more of like an even Delta Forces or whatever kind of thing. Generally you're going to be using your weapon and you're going to be shooting them from a very long distance. You're not going to be anywhere near to being in hand-to-hand combat. So it's not a huge emphasis at basic training. But if you want to be a super epic soldier, if you want to be, well-rounded in all areas, then honestly, if you have the money, because it can be actually really expensive, do a little bit of training, and then once you get to basic training, you might be a little bit more proficient at that than other people. The other way that this might actually help you, it helped me a lot, was pugils. If you guys don't know what pugils is, it's the event at basic training whenever you have basically a padded stick, right? So you have a padded stick, you're going to be wearing a helmet, maybe some pads or something, and you're going to go one-on-one with another soldier, and you're just going to be trying to knock them over, knock them down or whatever. And it's basically just a stick fight with pads, and I'll probably throw up a picture or something. So pugils is basically fighting but with a stick, and if you have no fighting experience whatsoever, you're just going to be kind of flailing that thing around. They do teach you literally 2 moves to basically swing up and swing down on somebody. That's literally like the only 2 moves they teach you. That was the only 2 moves they teach us anyways. But if you have some experience fighting, if you have some experience doing MMA and stuff, you can take that mindset and the knowledge that you've learned from fighting previously and apply that to pugils. So in my case, I was, I think, the number 2 guy in pugils. This kind of is making up an excuse, but literally the only reason I lost and didn't win against, you know, the number 1 guy who ended up beating me was because the guy before I was fighting him, we were fighting in this little gravel pit, and it was extremely exhausting. And the guy that I fought was great, right? So I beat that guy, but I was exhausted afterwards. The next guy that I went up to go against in the finals, he had an easy win over his previous guy, and he was not winded at all. I was just freaking exhausted. It was probably one of the most tiring things I've ever done because the guy that I was fighting was just, we were a great match, right? I wish you guys would have been there. It was awesome. Pugils was probably, I would say it's like top 3 things for basic training for me. I think it was a blast. It was a lot of fun. But I contribute my success in the pugils event to my prior, you know, combatives experience that I did before training in the military. So to sum this video out, if you want to be an all-around soldier and you're really super hua, super epic, and always go above and beyond, then yes, I think it's a good idea to do a little bit of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu training. Like I said, it's not going to take you a lot to learn more than you're going to learn at basic training. Just join some gym for a month, and you're going to learn more there than you're going to learn at basic training, which, you know, will put you a step ahead of them whenever you actually go and do combatives. And if they have a tournament, if you're really competitive, you know, that will give you an edge, and you might actually make it further in the tournament or win the tournament, you know, if you really catch on really well. So for those of you who want to do that, then that's an option. The other option is, if you're not wanting to do that, if you're not wanting to spend the possibly like $100 a month to do MMA training, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu training, you know, then just save that money, go to basic training, learn the combatives that they teach you, and then just move on through, because you're not going to have to do any more of that basically for the rest of your military career. So that is it for this video. Maybe I answered a question that you didn't even know you had about basic training, and if I did, hit that like button. That would be awesome. If you want to stick around for some more of my videos, hit the subscribe button. That would be even better. And if you guys want to make my day, if you want to make my day today, hit that notification bell button. That would just be freaking epic. And as always, if you guys are not following me on social media, Instagram and Snapchat links are right here. I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you guys later.